Yo.
What up? What up?
What up, though?
We back.
We back, baby. Let's go.
We had another week off, man. I was stressed out last week. I'm stressed out this week too, but this week I said fuck it.
This pod turned into, remember we used to do like every week now it's like occasionally we
occasionally we skip weeks.
Gotta get our mind right, bro. We gotta get our mind right.
Right? Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We a couple days removed from Thanksgiving. How was yours, man?
It's good, man.
Yeah?
Not bad. Yeah, not bad.
Spend time with your family and shit?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, we did. We had everybody over the house. Not everybody, but we had quite a few people over the house. And so, yeah, we had a good time. But I worked. Like the day, but I took off the day before and the day of. I still ended up fucking putting in hours. And then,
I feel you on that right now, man.
Yeah, bro. But it was good. It was good. Good to see the family and have good food, good drinks, good music, good time.
It's awesome, man. It's good, man. I'm happy to be back.
Oh yeah,
happy to be.
I almost called you again.
It's my therapy session.
All right, I almost called you again and been like, man, I gotta work. And I said, nah, fuck it, man. I need a therapy.
Nah, man, it's mental health, bro.
That's
you
right.
gotta take the mental health break. Shit, man.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Carpet Footprint Podcast, episode 1, 2, 3. He is Juan and I'm Sean, and every week we get together, or most weeks, have a few drinks, talk about things going on in the world, try to focus on things making an impact, whether they be good, bad, or otherwise. Hit them with a drink of the day.
Yo, we got a little whiskey sling popping off this week, man. We got a whiskey sling. So we did a ounce and a half of this High West bourbon. It's fire, man. Actually, it's good. I've never bought a bottle, but I've had it at restaurants.
Oh yeah.
It's good, man. I like it. Even by itself, it's great. So we did a 1.5 ounces of that. We did.
No, you did more than that.
Oh,
no?
you're right. I did a shot.
You did like a shot and a half.
So that's like 2 ounces, 2.25. Pour whiskey to your liking. Shot and a half. We did like a quarter of a lemon, half an ounce of simple syrup, a couple of dashes of orange bitters. Shake it up, and then pour it in a glass with ice. It's delicious, man. And we garnished once with a lemon wedge, and I did it with the rosemary. I think I like the rosemary better.
The rosemary,
and the rosemary is from the Garden of Sean. So
I went out there today. So it's dark, right? I went out there before I came over here. And I started cutting them, and then all of a sudden I started getting bit up. There's like fire ants around this shit.
What?
So they started biting me up, man.
So I might get a fire ant bite me on the lip here soon.
No, I had to pay for that.
Do you have to spray these with any pest or anything, or like pest killer or anything like that?
Nothing. Dude.
No.
Nope. And you know what's funny, man?
It smells so good all the time.
I planted it, man, and that shit just has grown like crazy.
Like a weed, huh?
Yep, and then right next to it, man, I put the mint, and then next to that, man, I'm gonna put the basil. And I figured those three, that's the three right there.
That's gonna be the ones, man. That's gonna be the one. That's the Carbon Footprint Garden.
Yeah.
It's so good, man. Ugh.
All right, man. You want to do your carbon footprint? You want me to do mine? What's up?
You gonna do your? But before we get popping on the carbon footprint, man.
Okay.
Actually, wait. Did I? Yeah. I'm gonna let you do yours first.
Okay.
But I gotta get popping real quick on something before you get off on that, man. Let me play a little something real quick.
All right.
That's for all you fucking redcoats. America, baby, let's go. Listen, World Cup, we're a little behind, so we got to go America versus England. These fucking pot pie eating, scared of knife ass, no dentist fucking going. Listen,
fish and chip.
Yeah. It's soccer now. Look at me. I'm the captain now. Bro, they was talking all this shit, and then and soccer clearly is an American sport, and it was hilarious because they were like, "Oh, you guys are celebrating a tie." It's like, well, if you're better than us, then a tie technically is a dub.
Yep.
So damn it.
We'll take that.
We'll take that. And then today, man, they pulling off the greatest performance against Iran in a foreign land since we murdered Soleimani, or whatever his name was. So we pulling out all the stops, damn it. We coming America on to the round of 16. This shit was exciting. You haven't watched? Have you watched
bro, I meant to, and I saw that Flagrant was going to stream live while they were watching the games. I wanted to do that. But man, I've been so busy at work and I forgot about it. It was like I had a freaking conference call that was going to start at 4:00, and the person that I was having it with gets there late, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm sorry, I was watching the game." And he's like, "It was so good."
Dude, I'm today. I have it on at work on one of my monitors. Right, I'm doing shit, and they scored a goal while someone came in to talk to me about something, and there's like this little lady that I work with was like, she's super quiet, like super calm lady, and she's like telling me something, blah blah, and I'm like peeking over at the screen, and they score. I'm like, yeah, and she like starts walking away, like gets scared. I was like, wait. The game is on. She didn't realize that it was up on the monitor. I didn't like it's up. It's not like it's minimized or it's not on my phone. Like it's literally there. I guess she hadn't noticed, and this whole time she's talking to me. Oh, it was so funny, man. I'm like, yeah, my bad.
She's like, do you want me to do this work for you? Yeah!
That's literally what it was. I was like, oh, yeah. And then I'm like, yes! Ah!
What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, man, it was so wild, dude. So good, man. I like, listen, America gotta it's cool. They're on to the round of 16. That's like the third time in a row I think that they make it. So now it's like the knockout rounds.
Oh, okay.
So it gets the sense of urgency in the World Cup is what I love. Like in these rounds coming now because it's like win or go home.
Yep.
I love this, man. I'm enjoying it. It's fun. The week one, I think we talked about the World Cup here where I'm like, man, keep an eye. Some weird shit's about to go down over there. And I think like 2 days later, they're like, yeah, no beer. And then like, you know, I'm still convinced that something else is going to go down. But
now Budweiser is suing them, right?
Yeah, because the biggest sponsor of FIFA or something like that is like, but one of the big ones. Yeah. So, but yeah, man, what a time. I love World Cup time. It's been good. And anytime like America is like involved in something like that, like we get so patriotic, like even me, like it's like we'll go back to hating each other next week, but right now we're like, yeah, fuck them.
Dude, man, I'm waiting for the true American athletes to take over soccer.
No one would ever win again, bro. I feel like you had sent me that thing with somebody going on a rant about like we're not, you know, we don't go we don't send our I think his comment was like, wait till you get a cornerback with dreads from Miami. And dude, I'll say that if America played soccer in its poorer communities, we would dominate soccer worldwide. Like he said, like it's a borderline elitist sport in the U.S.
And he's right.
I've never heard anyone say that, and he's right.
Yeah,
it's so right. True. It's so soccer in America is a very suburban sport, and the rest of the world, it's a very
it's everybody plays it.
Everybody plays it, right? Yep. And so I think, like he said, is like if we put in our resources and our money into soccer the way we do into basketball and baseball and football and all that other stuff, like no one would ever beat us, bro. Like you're gonna have a bunch of 6-7 guys rolling out there. Like no one would ever win another header. No one would win another corner kick. Like you're gonna have all these guys looking like LeBron James. Yeah. And you know, like playing. You do like Bryce Harper decides to play soccer. Aaron Judge decides to play soccer. Like no fucking chance, bro. It's like you look at even the size of these players. It's like okay, we go out there in a very physical sport because it's also very. Soccer is extremely physical. Like I've officiated soccer for a long time, and I think people assume that soccer. Like I even had parents like they stick their kids in it because they think it's like a non-contact sport. Oh yeah, and soccer's so physical. Yeah, man, I feel like we would dominate if we actually cared. We just don't give a fuck about soccer except for every 4 years.
Dude, look at Dwight Howard.
Oh my
God!
That?
So he's over playing basketball in Taiwan. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And dude's looking like the second coming of Michael Jordan.
Bro, he's it's so true, bro. I'm looking at highlights. This dude's like doing jab steps and threes, and he's like they're having him running point. Yeah. Like, and Dwight Howard can't get a shot off in the NBA right now, let alone a three. Like, and we would probably let him take a three in the NBA just because he's like not known for that. So we'd be like, yeah, go ahead, bro. But Like he couldn't even get a layup off, let alone like, and he's dominating, like you said, in these leagues, man. It's so funny because again, he's a world class athlete,
world class NBA athlete on his decline.
Yeah, and I saw like I think it was Giannis on an interview saying that, you know, that if it was the world against the U.S., that he felt like right now, like on a 5-on-5,
yep.
like, you know, and I forget who he mentioned completely, but it was like, you know, if you took Steph Curry and Clay and LeBron and, you know, Anthony Davis and whoever, like 5 from the U.S., let's say thing, and then you played 5 international players, and he's like brought up himself, you know, so it's like Giannis, Embiid, Luka, I can't remember. Jokic. Yeah. So Djokovic, and then he's like, oh, throw in Evan Fournier. I don't know, like whoever. And then he's like, those 5 would beat the other 5. And I'm like, it would be a pretty competitive game. Yeah, but I'm like, if you're talking prime players 5-on-5, like I don't think so. But yeah, it would be competitive. I go, but it took 5 international players, not 5 players from one country.
And I was going to say also, with those 5 players that he named from the international players are all in their primes.
Yes.
And he named a few folks on the American side that are actually past their prime.
I would say all of them are. Dude, Steph, Clay, out. LeBron, out. Like who?
Yeah. I mean, you figure Steph and Clay just won a championship.
They did, but I would say that they're more on the way down than on the way up.
Agreed.
So if you go 3 years ago, Steph and Clay, like shit, when they were scoring 35 a quarter or whatever it was, like they could, or you know, I guess you could throw in like a Jason Tatum in there who's probably in his prime, like Devin Booker, you know, those guys, you know, like those guys. But yeah, the international squad is all in their prime. You know, Giannis is in his prime, Embiid is in his prime. Luka is like, I don't even think Luka's reached his prime yet. He's like building there. So I get it from that perspective. Jokic prime, building towards that.
Yep.
But yeah, man. So I'm like, yeah, those are 5 international. Like you couldn't come up with 5 from one country that would compete. And Spain is the closest thing in the world, I think, that we have to that. But yeah, man. So I'm like, yeah, lucky we won't give a fuck about soccer, because if we did, the asses would be in trouble. I say that to say that.
All right, man. Maybe hit you with my compliment of the week.
Let's do it.
It's going out to planet Earth.
Ooh.
Because she is now supporting 8 billion humans.
Woo, that womb is big. Damn.
I think it was like last week. I know we skipped last week. I think maybe the week prior. The human population has surpassed the 8 billion mark. We were at like 7.5 for a while, and then so now we're past the 8 billion mark, which is crazy.
And our growth has been on the decline, technically, right? Yeah. Like our net growth has been on the decline. But
yeah, we're sort of increasing at a decreasing rate.
Right. There you go. Yeah. And we've been it's just 8 billion people is a lot of people, man. And I think it's at the rate that it occurred, because I think if you go 100 years back, we didn't even have a quarter of that. Is that what it is? There's like some crazy stat that like, I don't know. Like we've done that all within the last, like, it's less than 100 years, I think. I'm almost certain, like, the growth from like 1 billion to 8 happened like within a few decades. Like it's really, I gotta go look up the stat, but it's that change has happened very drastically over, I think it's over like the last century. Like,
well, you know, you might be right, man, because I do remember. I feel like I remember when we were like 7.5 billion.
Yeah.
And then what doesn't seem like that was too long ago.
No, and the Earth population, let me see, like it was so it's 8 billion now, but there was I'm gonna look like
looking like 2010,
bro. It was 1 billion in 1804.
Oh wow! So in what, 200 years?
200 years. we've okay. So I was way off. I felt like it was in the last 100.
No, bro.
I mean, it's still a lot, but yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, bro, if you off by 100 years, that's nothing.
So in 87, it was at 5 billion. So I think so in 87, it was at 5 billion people. So you figure from 1804 to 87, you quadrupled, and then from and that's what, almost 200 years. So you figure 180 something,
yep.
And then it took 30 something years.
Yep.
Yeah, 35 years to get to another 3 billion. So like we're still growing at an exponentially quick rate, and that obviously has a lot to do with obviously the birth rates and what do you call that? The boomers are wild, bro. They're just fucking. And then
I wonder what actually happened during that time.
70s and 80s. And also people are just living longer too, right? So I guess we're staying around longer. So like I guess you couldn't expect people in the 1700s to live to 70 or whatever that was, because they were all dying from like fucking smallpox. So
yeah, from the common cold.
Yeah, it's like a mosquito bit. You're like, oh fuck, man. There goes Dave. Y'all seen Dave today? He got poked, man. It's a wrap. Dave gone by Tuesday.
But yeah, man. Shout out to Mother Earth. She's still supporting us. I don't know for how long. I figure, you know what? I had an old coworker. They used to always tell me, one day the Earth's gonna shake us off like some fleas.
I feel like she's been trying a lot lately, bro. COVID and these earthquakes and hurricanes and all that stuff. Like she getting there.
Well, dude, and then all these fucking like, you see all these like mass shootings lately.
Oh my
like,
God, bro.
I don't know, dude. I don't know if it's because I'm paying more attention to news and stuff, man. But it just feels like there's more bad shit going on now than maybe ever before.
Bro, the guy who shot up the place in Colorado had me. You seen his dad? The interview with his dad?
No.
I think it was the guy in Colorado.
Is it the one that? Oh yeah,
the gay club.
Yes.
Where the dad goes, he ain't no gay guy. I don't know what. Like he was more upset about the fact that he could potentially be gay instead of murdering people. I was like. He was like, we were not with that gay stuff. Like, that's all he heard from the whole thing. And then they kind of they press him on the murdering people thing. He's just like, yeah, man, I hope, it's a so sad
he
thing.
Apologized and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
but he was like more upset about we don't do that in this family.
We don't do that gay
we don't
stuff.
do that gay stuff. I was like, bro, that's your concern? I was like,
dude,
damn.
You see the fucking guy the Walmart guy?
Oh my God, bro. That shit is.
Dude, so here's the thing with that, right? So for those of you who didn't see, some guy, and I forget where it was, some guy, some manager that was in Walmart just like went into a break room and opened fire and killed, I don't know, like 6 people, something like that.
Which is the most expected thing from a Walmart employee if you've ever had to encounter one ever.
Dude. Now, while that is a sad tragedy, right, for the folks that got hurt, and especially for the ones that died, they interviewed this other guy who happened to be late that day and was just like, man, I was running late for work. Thank God I was late. And I'm just going like, yo, is that where we are as a society, where it's not even like, oh my God, like this mad tragedy. People just go like, fuck, shit, man, glad it wasn't me.
Missed that one.
Yep.
Yeah. Dude, I think it is. Tim Dillon had a whole rant about this, really? And I'm like, it's so true. Like, the fact that that's his first thought, it wasn't like, fuck, man, I lost my coworker. It's so normal to us now. They're like, shit, man, I'm glad I was late that day. It's like just barely missing a car accident now. Right. You know how you see an accident when you're driving and you're like, man, 5 minutes sooner, that could have been me or whatever. Yeah. It's like, that's how we look at mass shootings now. We're like, fuck, 5 minutes sooner, man, that could have been me. Do I still got to come in tomorrow? These prices ain't gonna roll back themselves.
Are we taking a morning day for this?
Nope. It's so normal now, bro.
Dude, not for nothing, man. When was it? It was probably a few months ago. My son and I were going just a quick trip to the supermarket, and it was like, and I saw this like dope, like sunset, and I literally pulled over just to take a picture. Well, that pulled over time, right? We actually exited out. We went to the store, did our thing, and as we were coming back to the car, there was like a major accident, like right outside where we had to turn. And I told my son, like, yo, not saying that would have been us, but the fact that we stopped and I stood out there for 2 minutes probably saved us, or possibly could have saved us from being involved in that.
Absolutely, dude. Because you never know.
Dude, like, we had walked out of the store like as it happened. So if I walk out of the store 60 seconds earlier, maybe we're involved.
Dude, it just goes to show, man, like, fuck, man, like literally any second. Like, it's so cliche, but it's like, man, every moment, minute by minute.
So every time, if you ever you're stuck in traffic and whatever, and you're pissed, or the light catches you or whatever, sometimes you just gotta like look at it and go, I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
Yo, dude, I'm glad that was like a perfect segue into my carbon footprint.
Okay.
So my carbon footprint this week was and it's a little delayed because it was I sort of marked this as after Israel Adesanya, so Izzy won or lost, sorry, at UFC. I'm gonna get this wrong, man. I can't.
It doesn't matter. The last one,
the last
major one. Yep.
Yeah, he lost that fight, right? So, and I'm giving it to him coming off of a loss because I felt like giving his platform, and there's so many layers to this, giving his platform in sports, giving his platform, as a person, as a social media presence, I felt like the way he handled that loss to me is something that is extremely impactful because, like it's easy to hang your head after something like that. And we all, I think, deal with disappointments differently, right? And so it isn't whether it's right or wrong. It's just that the way he handled that, man, I thought was such a good example for like us in general going through day-to-day shit. For if you do have kids that look up to pro athletes or anyone who's sort of in the spotlight. And it was, did you see any of the press conferences after
No, I
he
didn't.
lost? Man, the press conference the night of the fight, like you're talking 30 minutes later, he rolls into the press conference. He's wearing like a fur coat. He's like sitting there, and they ask him. He doesn't make any excuses. It's like, nah, bro, he got me. Like, and then they're like, well, how do you feel? And he goes, I'm grateful, full of gratitude. And it's like, I think to have that perspective in that moment, like, and he has this saying all the time, and you follow him on social media or you listen to him on podcasts. He always says, "What a life," and it's like he's like, bro, I got paid to fight in front of a bunch of people in Madison Square Garden. I love to fight. I love this sport. I love stuff like I've been through so much worse shit than he's like, I lost so what? He's like, I've been through so much worse shit, like whether it's like, growing up poor or like personal relationships or.
And he was
like,
bullied as a kid,
and he
right?
was bullied. Yeah. All this stuff. He has all this stuff. He's like, I lost in a sport that I love and a fight that I got paid to like, nah, man, I'm grateful, man. And he just had this whole, and I watched him on press conferences after that. And I watched him on podcasts after that. And he just kept the same thing. He's just like, he got me. Like, I felt really good. I still feel like I can beat the guy. He still had his like competitive edge. He's like, I felt like I had him.
He did, bro.
And I got caught. Like, and he's like, yo, and kudos to him. He fucking caught me. Like, and so he didn't make excuses. He has even admitted, he's like, yeah, bro, he hurt me in the first round. Like, my leg wasn't there. Like, I fought the whole time. Like, it forced me to change game plan. But it was like this accountability that he had for one, like, yo, he got beat. To have that perspective of, yeah, I lost a fight, but like, yeah, so like I'm gonna be back fighting in a couple months. Like it's just like the fact that I think that you can look at a defeat on the biggest stage, arguably in your sport, for a belt, and you can have that perspective. I'm like, wow, man, like we're out here complaining about dumb shit sometimes, where you go, man, the perspective in the grand scheme of things, like life's pretty good. Like, and so I watched him do that, and there's another layer that it stuck with me, and it was the fact that, like, we always talk about how MMA is starting to surpass boxing.
Yep.
And I think Izzy, and we say this all the time, we watch Izzy. Izzy had this sort of reputation to some people for being boring. Like, if you weren't a true, like, MMA purist and you hadn't watched him for a long time, he's boring because he's so good that he dominates fights like Floyd does, where it's not exciting. Right?
He's not knocking people out.
He's not knocking people out. But I think this one showed that, like, it was a fight that he could lose, and he knew that. And he took it. And it was his third fight this year. So he's not a champ that's like running and sitting on his belt for like 8 months, like he's defending it as much as he can. And then it also showed like, yo, he fought. And then I felt like fans, like I thought people were going to knock him. Like people are waiting for Floyd to lose, right? For a long time. They wanted to celebrate it. And I felt like I saw online and people were giving him more kudos. And I'm like, yo, I think we're rewarding the risk. Like he took the risk because it's a guy that you've lost to twice in other sports. And I felt like even from that perspective, I went, wow, man, it just goes to show like, I think we weren't celebrating his downfall. We were like rewarding him for going like, yo, cause that fight was exciting. He didn't hide. He didn't think it was
fight,
it was a
man.
great fight.
It was actually one of the better fights that I've seen of him because I'm always excited when he goes to fight. And then sometimes I'm kind of let down because it's not as exciting as I would like him to be.
Absolutely.
Because, when you go into, and I'm not a big like MMA enthusiast, but I do enjoy watching them. But I enjoy like the brutality of it. Yeah. And then sometimes when you get the guys like Adesanya that are just technically really sound.
Yeah, he's so technically good. Yeah, I'd say he's very Floyd-esque in that way.
Right. And then those fights can appear to be boring.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought that, and I go, man, this is why MMA is surpassing boxing because in boxing, the zero has become so important to people.
Right.
And MMA, like Nate Diaz has like 15 losses or whatever.
No one cares.
We don't care because we're willing to reward the risk. And I think we reward the entertainment, reward the risk. And I felt like Izzy, in a loss, he almost won. Like he won over fans. He won because it was like, oh wait, you didn't run, you traded. You didn't lose in a decision on a boring fight. Like you traded shots, you were willing to get in there. You wrestled, which isn't your thing, and he was decent at that. Like, and then you got caught. And then even then, like you didn't go down. Like you were, he was like, yo, man, I still wanted to stay in. Like, and I love the fact that he even admitted, like we argued, like, we were having a debate, like whether it was an early stoppage.
Right.
And
no, it wasn't.
No, they saved him, right? Like you don't want him to take unnecessary shots. And even he said, he goes like, if you're asking me, my ego is telling me, let me go out on my shield. My brain, the realist in me is saying like, it's a good stop. Like he got me. But he goes like, he's like, obviously if you ask me, like my ego is telling me like, nah, let me go down. Like, let me, he's like, I would have preferred that. But if I'm taking a step back and I'm thinking about it, it got me. It was a good stop. Like he's like, he goes like, now it didn't lay me out like the last punch. He goes like, he knocked me out the last punch. He goes like, I was lucid. But I was hurt, he's like, and he didn't make excuses about that. And I like that, man. And so I felt like there's just so many layers of this that just, again, it's impactful. I'm curious to see how he I think responds to this, second loss now, but really I count it as his first because it's the first one in his division. It's like Canelo's loss where he went up in weight where you're like, you kind of expect him to not. So the first loss that he had was in that like going up in weight where you're like, yeah, bro, you're probably not there yet.
So that was too much.
Yeah. So this is his first loss as a middleweight. And a division that he's dominated, and he doesn't duck anybody, and he defends his belt, 3-4 times a year, like he's never. And so I'm curious to see how he responds. I love the fact that the message that it just sends, I think, as people about just having perspective, because it's just like, nah, bro, why am I? A lot of times you see these boxers and they go into like these depressions and all this stuff after a loss, or even MMA guys.
Even MMA.
Yeah. And
remember Rousey? Remember Rousey when
she went into
when
this
she
thing?
lost? She went into the hole.
And listen, people are going to handle things differently, but I just felt like looking at this, it's just one of those things where you just, you're forced to take a step back and have this perspective of like what really matters. And you're looking at a guy, I'm like, man, in a loss, he won. Like he won over fans. I think maybe to himself, he still has this like unicorn that he's chasing because he still hasn't beat this guy.
And it's got to be a rematch, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it has to be.
It's funny, man, because somebody asked him on a pod. I think it was Flagrant. They go, but, because I think he mentioned, too, that he was injured, and so he might need surgery. And they go, well, what happens if he defends it and then loses it? And he's like, well, fuck, I hadn't thought about that. He goes like, nah, I would fight him anyway. He's like, I need to get a win against him. So I want to fight him anyway. And he's like, yeah, I prefer for it to be for the belt, but I'm going to fight him either way. Like, I want a rematch. Like,
okay.
And so, and again, it just shows, like, you hope he doesn't get stuck in this thing where he's chasing that win against this guy.
Because sometimes, man, styles just don't
make fights,
yeah,
man.
Styles definitely make fights.
But you look at that one and you go, he dominated the fight.
Dude, he had it.
He had it.
He could have done some running in the last.
He could have taken the round off. And I think that's the other part of this. Like, he could have taken the round off and won.
Yeah.
Maybe, depending. Like, there was one round that was close early on that we were like, man. But
I think it was one. Was it one?
Yes, it was the first one.
One or
but
two,
the scorecard showed that he would have won.
Yes.
So afterwards, the scorecard showed like he would have won anyway. So he could have ran. And I think the fact that he was willing to take the risk, and he's like, I wanted to finish. I wanted to finish him. And he did say something like, he goes, yo, when he hit me in the kickboxing fight, like, he laid me out. He goes, I took a shot early on, and then I took a kick, and I realized, okay, I can take that. I'm good. He goes like, and it made me feel more confident because I'm like, okay, it's a 4-ounce glove. It's whatever. Like, that shit should hurt. And he goes like, I felt like I'm better than I was that last time. He goes like,
I'm sure he was.
Yeah, and absolutely. And he goes, just got caught, right place, right time. And, he's like, kudos to him, man. He caught me with a shot, bro. It's 5 rounds.
What was the last UFC that you guys watched that I missed? Where the
my God, the ones against Usman. and
where he dominated, right? And then he just get caught.
It was Edwards. Yeah, took him out. Yeah, dominated, and then less than a minute to go, gets caught with a kick, and you're just like, yo, that changes everything. Changes history, right? Usman would have defended for however long, and yeah, man. So shout out to Izzy, man. I love watching him fight. Like you said, there's some fights where he's so boring. I think the first time I was hyping him up and everybody came here to watch him, and it was like the most boring fight ever. I was so let down because I'm like, fuck, man, because he's such a good showman with the intros and all this stuff. And I remember watching his fights when he was trying to come up in UFC, when he was so exciting and he was dropping dudes left and right. And then he just got to this point where he's technically so sound that sometimes it's boring. But yeah, shout out to him, man. I think just it was just a lesson on perspective, and
man. Dude, I got something more for that. Did you see? So, for those of you who don't know, Elon Musk took over Twitter, which I believe we went over on this show already.
Yeah.
But recently, like the employees have just been leaving in droves. Apparently he put out something where he was essentially like, going forward, I need to know that people are committed and are here to work hard and whatever. And then, like, if you're not with that, here's like 3 months severance and, you're free to leave. And so the people just started to leave. And they, they kind of trolled them a little bit. They had it on the I think it's in San Fran, the main building.
Yeah.
They had like a video, a projector on the building with like quotes of just like bashing him.
Oh wow.
He
strikes me as a guy that probably doesn't give a fuck about that.
I don't think he cares.
Yeah.
But I was like, again, talking about perspective, you think about the people, the employees, and and their feeling about work in general, and just going like, you know what? I don't believe in what this guy's doing. I'm out.
Dude, I'm glad you said it that way, actually, because I was, again, this is like a prime example of like perspective. Like this Elon thing, I'm seeing people bashing him for how he handles Twitter and the work thing and all that stuff. And I go, okay, there's several ways to look at this, right? He has a vision. He expects a certain, like caliber of work, and also like a certain, I guess, commitment of time, right, and of everything right now, whatever, to turn it around. I feel like the perspective, again, is people are leaving in droves, and they're just like, oh, he's like a
fucking tyrant,
whatever, yeah, right. And he's going off. Yeah, I couldn't find the right word, and so like, again, the perspective there is, do you stay at a place like that, right? And again, everybody has different sort of aspirations and different goals and all that, and I get that. But do you stay at a place like that and look at it for the opportunity that it is, which is to work with one of the greatest minds of all time and potentially build a social media platform unlike anything we've ever seen? Because Twitter, it's always been probably my favorite social media platform. But then you get someone like Elon, and I think you remove the bullshit of the censorship stuff and the catering to certain political parties and all that shit, where at least he's trying, right? So do you want to be a part of that? And you don't have to be. Or do you say like, hey, I'm not okay with that culture, I'm just going to go take my talent somewhere else? Like, right. and so like when I see people knocking and like going off about the tyrant, and it's like, I hate this idea that we have to keep telling companies how to run themselves. Like, let them show you what they are, and then we all decide whether or not we want to be a part of that. Like, the jobs, again, we're so like spoiled where it's like, that job's not guaranteed to you, man. Like, it's like the coal mine. Like, you're not guaranteed a job at the coal mine, bro. And just like you're not guaranteed a job at Twitter that you're going to like. If you don't like it, step away. Like, he's telling you who he is. He's giving you like, yo, this is who I am. This is how I run this. Be a part of that or don't. I also think this is by design. I think he's deliberately going to the extreme, because I think what you do by doing this is that you weed out, and listen, man, we've both worked at corporate America for a long time.
Yep.
Every department, every company has, you go, yo, there's two people who fucking like hold this shit down, and the rest of these, I'm not really sure what they do every day. Right? And so I feel like it looks bad if it goes, Elon lays off 10,000 employees versus Elon goes, you motherfuckers got to work 80 hours a week. You got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. And then he goes, and if you don't want to, I'm willing to pay you to leave.
Yeah.
And I feel like that looks better, and you weed out the like, yo, I know I'm getting the work from 10% of the employees.
It definitely looks better from a layoff standpoint, where so many companies right now, I keep reading articles, man, about companies laying off, like 10,000 people.
Amazon, right? Like,
that's another one.
Yeah.
Amazon. I think a bunch of Amazon workers staged like a walkout on Black Friday.
I think so.
It Black Friday?
Yeah.
It was like Amazon workers and Whole Foods, because Amazon owns them.
Yep.
I don't know what ended up coming of that.
Yeah, I don't either. I saw like the headline and I was like, okay. And then I just,
But to your point of him going, hey, I'm just going to be transparent with what I expect, whether he actually expects it or not.
Right.
Or was it a ploy to just go, I'm going to get rid of the people who don't really want to work?
Well, I think it brings to light, like the employees that you go, like some people, like Twitter's still running, right? So you're looking at him now, you're going, and I'm sure behind the scenes there's some stressful shit going on, right? Like, we've both worked in corporate America. We know,
especially when a lot of people are leaving, and then those responsibilities fall on the people that are left. Exactly. Like, I know what that's like.
And exactly. And we've both been in scenarios where we're sort of the ones keeping the ship afloat. And what happens is that the captain's at the top, and he doesn't see what the people are doing below to keep this shit rowing, right? So like, it's
like the duck when you see him on top of the water, but his feet are moving like hell down below.
Yeah, to keep it. Yeah, it's so true, bro. So like, it's like, yo, for every 100 employees, you probably got 10 keeping that shit popping, and the other 90 are probably like, you know, they're having coffee for 6 hours, they're talking shit, they're going from cube to cube, they're doing what, you know, like. So I feel like some of this is him going like, yo, man, we're definitely overstaffed. And I know there's an X amount of people, and now I can weed out who's loyal, who's the hard worker, who actually keeps this shit running, and then probably go to like a reasonable, okay, let's hire these people, let's do this stuff.
Right.
Because I also think Elon Musk is smart enough to know this is not sustainable. Like Elon Musk he didn't get to this stage, he didn't get to build Tesla and SpaceX and now Neuralink and PayPal.
I was gonna say, don't forget about PayPal.
PayPal, the OG of the
man,
platform,
he don't get credit for that shit
because, like, you have to know how to manage people. You have to know how to, you know, obviously create products. So, like, I feel like a lot of this is deliberate, but also it just reminded me of the perspective you could have, because I'm looking at that and I'm going, man, yes, I'd be stressed out, and it's not to say that you wouldn't have stressed out days, but the thought that I could work with someone like an Elon Musk, like a generational mind. Like someone who, like, dude, you think about, we talk about people now like Albert Einstein and Nikola Tesla and, right. and Edison, and like, this is that for our generation,
right? And
so, like, you get to tell your grandkids, like, yeah, man, I worked with Elon Musk, like one of the greatest minds ever. Yeah. And so, like, I think that it's interesting to have a perspective of, like, do I seize this opportunity? I don't know for how long, or do I choose to be like a crybaby about it? Or, and I shouldn't even say crybaby, because if it's not for you and you want work-life balance and you want to spend, like, I understand that, and that's your prerogative, and so you could step away, but then don't go sit there, you know, projecting images to the thing. Just go like, yeah, I'm not with that culture anymore.
I'm out.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm out. Yeah, and I feel like too many times we feel entitled to a certain standard, and it's like, no, let companies be how they are, how they want to be, and all that stuff, and then you decide. Like, I just really don't get that.
Now, where is that? Is that in Silicon Valley?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
So is that, and in Silicon Valley, is that in San Fran, or is that?
It's like suburb or outside of San Fran. Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's a town outside of San Fran. I forget what it's called. It's there's actual name for the.
Yeah, there's not that's not Silicon Valley. Right?
Yeah. There's actual name, Palo Alto and all that other stuff. I think is considered Silicon Valley. But and now he also has offices in other cities, like Austin. I think has a Twitter office. So there are other Twitter offices, but I think their main headquarters is the one in Silicon Valley.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I saw that. I was like, yeah. I mean, I get it, but also Twitter still works. Twitter's funny as shit. I like the fact that he's bringing back people, because, again, let us make a decision. Like, if I don't want to follow Donald Trump, just don't let me follow Donald Trump. Like, right. I
get to choose.
Yeah, but he's funny as fuck. And Elon, bro, is hilarious. Have you seen all the memes where he's trying to entice Donald Trump?
He doesn't give a fuck.
He doesn't give a fuck. He's so relentless. Oh my God, man, it's so funny, dude. He's so funny. Like, and the whole AOC comment where she went off on his whole thing, and he goes, "Thank you for your input. That's $8, please." It's so good, man. I don't care what your views are politically. That's funny, man. That's so funny. Oh, he's so good,
dude.
Man.
But staying in that region of the country, man, San Fran started this program called GIFT, and it stands for Guaranteed Income for Transgender People.
Okay.
And so this program is essentially just that. It's giving. It's a very small amount of people. It's 55 transgender residents of San Fran. They're gonna give them $1,200 a month for 6 months, and it's mainly for the minority transgender community, because they're saying that those folks have the hardest time, like finding work in that area. And so they came out with this gift program, you know, for them. Obviously, it's only 55 people. There's a lot of people over there. I don't know how big the transgender community is over there, but I'm assuming it's a decent size. But I know in the past we've talked about the whole the whole guaranteed income, thing.
The universal basic income stuff.
Yeah, that. And when I first saw this, I was thinking like, holy shit! So they're doing that just for sort of a minority of people. But then I was like, oh, it's only 55 people. So obviously the headline was bigger than what it actually is. But I was like, what are your thoughts on that, man?
I think it's a slippery slope when you target specific.
What do you even call that?
Demographic.
Demographic.
I don't know. Like our class of citizen or what? Because like you, first off, how do you determine whether or not somebody's actually transgender? You know, like you just leave the room open for people to take advantage of something like this, like. But also, then you leave it open for other people to be like, well, what the fuck, bro? I'm a schizophrenic who's homeless. Right. How come I don't get shit? Yo, hey, I don't know. Like,
and I'm sure there's a lot of homeless in San Fran. They
have a rampant homeless.
Is it
problem.
Really? So
San Francisco is awful when it comes to. I think one of the worst in the country.
Bro, when I was there, and I was literally there for a day. That's probably why I didn't see a lot of it. Unlike Seattle, Seattle was
it's that bad. It's probably worse.
It really?
Yeah, when you hear about San Fran, a lot of the people say like they pay you to be homeless. Like there's whatever program that they pay. But San Fran actually has an app where when you roam the city, it tells you where there's poop on the street so that you can avoid it. Literally an app. I swear. I can look up what it's called. I'm gonna look up what it's called. So you don't think I'm bullshitting, but they have
shit on San Francisco,
and they do the thing where like on sidewalks, people in front of their houses, they're putting like flower beds and spikes so that people can't put their tents on the sidewalk. It's that bad.
Oh wow!
San Francisco, yeah, it's that.
Are they like Seattle, where there's like an ordinance where you can pretty much pitch a tent anywhere?
Yeah, anywhere where like they're like basically you're welcome anywhere if you can, and so people pitch them anywhere. And the other thing they had was people were buying RVs because it's so expensive to live there, and people couldn't afford it. So the people could afford, they were buying RVs and they're just parking them in the street. So there's been ordinances now done for RVs because people were just like, oh, I'll just fucking park at Walmart in the middle of the street. And so what you were having is like these people who were like, I paid $10 million for my house and there's a fucking RV parked in front of it all the time, and it's because people were just living in their RVs and they're just parking them on the street. So app for look. I typed San Francisco, and one of the top choices was app for human feces. It's called Snapcrap. How funny is that, bro? I knew I wasn't crazy.
Instead of Twitter, shitter.
Snapcrap. Improve that, Elon. Oh, fuck, bro. That's so good. Shitter. I like that better than Snapcrap.
The shitter's full.
Oh my God, bro!
That shit. You ever see the Christmas Vacation?
I think so. Chevy Chase. Okay, yes.
Dude, they play it like it's. Dude, they had like 24 hours of that shit playing, and it's my wife's favorite Christmas movie.
See, they do that with A Christmas Story, which is my favorite Christmas movie.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, they're selling. So that house is in. I think it's in Cleveland.
Yeah.
They're selling that house. So the person that owns it actually owns that house, and then like the neighbor, I can't remember the name, the neighbor's house like across the street. And the dude or the couple or whatever, they do like, they have it set up just as it is. You can actually like Airbnb that shit. And they'll leave like clothes and like props in there, so you can like reenact and replay and fucking video. And
it's kind of dope. I would do that.
It's kind of dope. But he's selling it, bro, and he wants like $10 million for that shit.
10? I guess you turn it into a tourist attraction.
Well, that's the thing. So he's like, he won't sell to anyone who won't keep it as a tourist attraction.
Yeah, I could see that. Fuck, man, that'd be kind of cool. I would stay there.
Yeah,
that'd be dope. I love that movie.
Oh, man. That movie's amazing.
Like, oh my God, I love that.
I love it when the dad curses.
Oh my,
because it's like he's like, Mudda Finga.
Yeah. My go-to is like, it's a prestigious award.
You were just jealous.
I love that movie. And then he's like, you know what your son just said? And he's like the typical dad where he just curses his ass off, but then he's shocked when his kid uses it. I love that movie, man. Love that movie, man.
No, that was great.
Oh, it's so good. But yeah, Snapcrap.
That's great, bro.
We need the film an episode of the Carbon Footprint at the Christmas Story house. Yo, that shit would be lit.
Oh shit.
We should look to see how much they should pay you to go to Cleveland right now, right? Like, fuck, man. How much is it a night to stay there? I would assume during the Christmas it's got to be crazy.
Oh, it's got to be
nuts.
Look
that up, yeah.
I'm sure it's already booked.
It has to be
for the entire month.
Yeah. Do you wear the whole bunny outfit and shit? Do you do the bunny thing and the?
He looks like a pink nightmare.
Dude, he's beating up the kid and he's like, it's like going off. Shit is the best, man. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
Have you watched the sequel yet? No. They just released last week, or 2 weeks ago on, I think it's HBO Max. I think it's HBO Max or Netflix. One of those two.
Is it the
it's the same cast. It's the kid is in it, and the
like
mom is back, and the brother's back, and one of the bullies is back, and it's called The Christmas Story Christmas, and it's in the same neighborhood house. I think
Netflix.
It's either Netflix or it's HBO Max. I'll tell you right now.
But
I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my list to watch because I'm like, again, my favorite Christmas movie of all time. So it's A Christmas Story. There we go. Christmas Story, Christmas. I think it's HBO. Yeah, HBO Max. So it's on there. And, dude, it's a lot of the original cast because Ralphie is like your age now. So you think about that movie came out early 80s. He was, 10, 12 years old.
Yeah.
So Ralphie's like your age now. So I'm like, I don't know why I think of that movie, and I know the movie takes place in like the 20s or 30s, but it was released in the 80s, like early 80s. I think it was 83. So you think of that movie, you're like, everybody's dead. But it's like, nah, man, they're like 47, 48, 50.
I would think maybe the dad.
The dad is not in it, so I don't know if he's still around,
right.
That guy. But the mom's in it.
Okay.
But you go, dude, the mom might have been 30-something in that movie. So you go, okay, she could be late 60s right now.
Yep.
Like whatever. So, like, yeah, that's.
Or even 70.
Or even 70. But yeah, you figure, okay, she can do a movie. So yeah, she's in it. I know the brother's in it. I know the mom's in it. I think Farkas, the guy who played Farkas, is in it. So yeah, I want to watch it, man. It's cool. I like that they did the original cast and not like a remake of it.
Are they doing a remake, or are they doing it? Are they like is Ralphie like the dad now?
No, it's Ralphie. I think is the dad now. I think it's legitimately a sequel and not a remake, which is what I liked about it because I love that movie. So I'm like, don't remake it, man.
Yeah,
so like it's such a classic. Yeah, it's like remaking Grease. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't remake.
Yeah, you
Grease.
can't make that.
Yeah.
Travolta got it on lock.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. Well, how are we doing on time, bro? I know we went long on some stuff.
46 minutes in, man.
All right, good.
We got like 15 minutes. We wanna.
What you want to get into, man?
Listen, man. What I got, bro. Oh, you know what, man? Since we're talking about work shit, I wanted to get into this story. Of the lawsuit. Did you see the lawsuit with the guy? He sued his employer.
No.
Bro. So he sued his employer. For it's hilarious. So he gets $3,100, which is pretty low. But then they're also examining his request for an additional $480K based on this lawsuit. The lawsuit was because he was fired because he refused to go get drinks after work with his colleagues.
Or so he claims.
Yeah, so it was like mandatory, like, no, it's an employee, like a social outing or like a get together. And I think it's because they work remote or something like that. I can't remember, but this is in Paris. So he was fired from it's a consultancy agency because he refused to participate in after work drink activities. It wasn't during working hours.
Right.
And so it's funny because they dubbed this the legal right to be boring at work. Man, and it made me think, like, I certainly feel this way sometimes, man. Like, I feel like when I manage teams and all that, like, I do see the importance of sort of having like out of work activities and all that, and I've had them. But I have had moments where there are things going on a Saturday or on a Friday night, and I'm like, I see you guys Monday through Friday for 8-10 hours, whatever. I don't want to see you again for my weekend or for whatever else. Like, I don't want to participate in that. And so it brings up, like, he sued and he won, so he got the judgment. It was like,
so what did they give him?
They gave him $3,100. I don't know how they came up with that figure, but then he's also seeking like an additional $480K, I guess, based on
kind of fucking job he had.
Yeah, it's a consultancy agency is all it said.
Okay.
But yeah, at $3,100, I'm guessing maybe that's his salary for a certain amount of time. The weird thing is France has different employment laws, so he got paid anyway when he got fired. But it's very difficult to get rid of employees in France.
Sounds like New York.
Without cause. Oh, yeah, it's very much like that because the France employment system, it's almost union-like in that. So it's so difficult to get rid of employees in France. So, yeah, I just, it's bizarre, man. Like, how do you fire someone for not participating in an extracurricular after-work activity?
I could see like if there were several and then you always decline, and then perhaps your manager, your boss, whomever is looking at him like, yo, this dude is not really, doesn't want to be part of the team. Now, does he have to go there and drink alcohol? I mean, clearly not, right? But
if he's a high level performer, let's say he's a high level performer,
that's a big ass if there. Yeah. Because if you're not, and you're not part of the team, then listen,
the rules are different.
That's right. Like if I'm looking for a way to get rid of you, and now you're not even participating in like, sort of like team camaraderie activities, yeah, then I'm going like, I don't like this guy anyway.
Yeah, like yeah, 1,000%. It's like the you give leeway to certain people and you don't, and so it's like maybe they just need an excuse, like, oh, this guy's weird, or he doesn't get along, he's not a good culture fit, but he's also shitty at his job, and yada yada. And so you give people more leeway, the better they are, right? Like, you don't want to show up, but you know what, this dude like knocks it out of the park. Right. Like, fuck it, do whatever you want.
Yeah, he was clearly not that.
Dude, it's hilarious because I'm going to tell you this, and I want to see your reaction because I think you knowing me, it would surprise you. At least I think. I was told by an employer once that I needed to be more social because me not being social was sort of, and going out and participating and talk more to the people around me was sort of, I guess, off-putting in the sense that people didn't know, like, basically it's not good for the culture if I'm not sitting there and talking to people and doing stuff.
So you're not going out and grabbing coffee and then visiting cubes and talking shit about.
I was literally told you should grab people and you should go have lunch and you should have conversations and you should do all this stuff. So like knowing what you know about me, and it's funny because at the time I was very new.
Oh, so you're trying to not do that shit.
Exactly. I'm locked in. Of course. I'm locked in, right? Yep. I'm in a open office space where everybody can hear what you're saying when you're talking about your thing, right? So I'm not trying to be social. I'm brought in for a specific reason, and I'm trying to make sure that I sort of like prove my worth in a sense of like, yo, I'm gonna knock this out of the park. Like, you're not. The furthest thing from my mind is being social, but then also it's like, yo, once you get me going, you're gonna be like, yo, can you shut the fuck up?
I was just thinking they didn't know how much of a gem they had in you.
I should have given them the link to the podcast. Like, yo, if y'all want to hear me talk, like, here you go. This is what you're in for. Like, you sure?
Bro, you should have went in there and just had the podcast on a loop. Well, fuck, we're 123 episodes in, so you'd have let it just go.
So strange, man. I've never been told that in my life of like, you should be more social. I'm like, are you sure?
Do you know what you're asking for?
Do you know what you're asking about me, man? Like, do you know me? But it's funny, man. Like, I'm looking at this.
Did
and
that
I'm like,
come from someone that knew you or someone?
No,
that
it was someone in HR who didn't know me.
Okay.
Who knew me for like a month. I think at this point. I think this is like my 30-day check-in or something like that. And it was like, which is a cool idea, right? Like, you want to check in with employees,
right?
But it was funny because I'm telling me that I'm going like, I think at the time it took me back because again, I know me. Like, you can't get me to shut the fuck up once I do get going. But it also came out very tone deaf because I'm like, you do understand like sort of if they took a step back and realized the position sort of I was put in at these places, like, you would understand that like I'm not. First of all, dude, the other thing is my desk is literally in front of HR, like, or where I sat, like and you know me, like, I have no filter, so the shit that's gonna come out of my mouth, it's like, I'm like, bro, we're gonna get acquainted real soon, trust me. It was bizarre, man. At that time, I was like, "Huh, that's strange." But when I saw this case, I'm like, "Man, what if I was one of those people who, like, I'm like, nope, and I don't want to go, and I just want to do my thing, and I don't want to talk to anybody, and I don't want to do stuff." But I was a good employee,
right? Like,
and I knocked it out of the park, and I feel like you would just put up with it.
You just,
I mean, if you're smart, right? If you know how to run a business, you go, listen, man, I don't need everybody to be the same. Like, if he doesn't want to show up, he doesn't want to show up. If you producing A-level work, like, leave him be.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
And if I'm not disruptive, right? Like, leave him be.
Dude, we have a new guy at our workplace, man, and he's proving fast. Like he's like the dude is a fucking worker. Like, the dude grinds and he puts in the time, and and he's smart, and like, I could see, like that's the kind of dude that I don't care if you come out, because I see what you produce when you're there, and in the grand scheme of things, that's what I value.
Yeah, dude, I remember managing people once. I managed people that same way. Was I had managed this team, and I had an employee that was late all the time, and I would write them up all the time, and I would give them shit about it all the time, and I would just stuff. And it was a very difficult place to get rid of people. It was like union job.
Okay.
And I had an employee who was amazing. Like, would you describe, like, dude just worked his ass off, crushed it, did this stuff. And one day he came in late. Like, he rolled in maybe 30 minutes late, whatever it was. He rolls in, and I'm just like, yeah, man, get in, whatever, like, go do X, Y, Z. Right. And the guy who's habitually late, like, heard me talk to him. And immediately goes off.
You're not going to write him up?
Yep. I'll write him up. You discriminate against me. Da-da-da-da. That's not fair. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, it's not fair, bro. But because it ain't supposed to be. Like, that guy produces. Like, you're late every day, and you suck at your job. So, like, I'm going to give him way more leeway. Like, I look at it, you look at your kids. Like, certain kids, and their behavior and stuff. Like, I'm going to give you a longer leash here. But this one, you got to keep them close because, like, they just don't.
Keep them on lock.
You got to keep them on lock. So I'm like, yo, people are the same way. I'm like, when I manage people, it's the same way. It's like, yo, I'm going to let you get away with more because I know what I get. And I'm not going to let you get away because you can't suck at everything, right? Like, there's got to be one thing where I'm like, all right, I'm getting that out of you, right? So, yeah, this case is interesting, man. I wonder how much of this happens now that people are working remote and you're going to have more of these sort of social gatherings. Because you figure, like, in a way to sort of keep up with culture or build some sort of, like, team, I guess, or build team morale, you're going to have, like, more outings.
And you got to have that face. I mean, my opinion.
No, you do.
That face-to-face is, I don't know. So for me, it's critical, man. Every time I go down to the office, and I've been working remote now for over 4 years. When I go to the office, that FaceTime with people, I will be honest, when I go to the office, I get less work done.
Yes.
But the FaceTime with the people and being able to actually put a face to the voice and just talk about whatever, random shit, personal stuff, whatever, it's priceless, man. Dude, to building that camaraderie.
And how is it afterwards? Like, when you get home,
it's so much better, bro.
It's so much better.
Now you call those people, and now they know. Now they've seen you. You've interacted, and now the help that you get it's so much quicker.
Yeah, dude. It's once you put a human element to something, and you're like, oh, you're a person, I'm a person, you're cool, blah blah blah. Like, it's different when I get that email, and I'm like, oh shit, that's Sean. Like, yeah, let me get that done for him real quick because I've met him, I've had lunch with him, I talk, like, yeah, we're cool. He's a nice guy, like, bro. And like, bro, I've been lucky enough. I've traveled for work for different things. It's funny because people ask me like, you're a finance guy. Why the fuck are you going there or here or whatever? And I always find, man, there's not been one scenario where the people that I've met with on those business trips, I didn't have a significantly better relationship afterwards with, which significantly improved sort of the output of work and got things done, I think, that otherwise wouldn't have been done in the time that would have been done if I not had that, like, wasted week, quote unquote, or 2 weeks of that face-to-face time of, like you said, you're maybe not getting as much work done because you're talking and you're catching up and maybe they're just walking you through shit, so you're wasting their day. But at the end of the day, it ends up leading to like an increased production because there's a human element no matter what. Bro, and I will say, man, we talked a lot about like remote work, I think, especially post-COVID, like on this pod, and about like people wanting that and wanting the flexibility. I would say my thoughts on this have sort of evolved over time. And one of those, like, for me personally, I've always felt like I couldn't do the remote thing 100%. Mm-hmm. I think I'm more of a hybrid person, and I would love the hybrid model. And what I'm noticing is that in order to be 100% remote, I think it could work for some people, but I think you have to have the right culture and the right management in place to pull off something like that. Because one of the things I've picked up on is that it has significantly contributed to our decline in quality of work that you get, especially in industries that need sort of like coaching, or there needs to be like a high rate of like familiarity with things. And so if you're working remote and you're new at a job and you're new at an industry and maybe you're fresh out of college, if you don't have that one-on-one coaching, or someone sort of like babysitting you, I think it's really hard to grow and produce quality output for clients and
also to know what's sort of expected from the culture. Yeah. Right. If you're not in it, if you are 100% remote, like you said, coming out of school, how would you ever know what is appropriate and what's not? Because it is really easy to fall into a space where you go, oh, I'm in my pajamas and my slippers, and and I'm at home, and the TV's right there, and there's other sort of home distractions that could take you away, from what you should be doing during those times. if you don't have that discipline, and if you don't understand the culture and what's expected of you, then that could lead you down a pitfall. And then again, not having the human interaction, it's very easy for me to go and say, oh, these 5,000 people that I've never put a face to, it's easy for me to let them go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no human. Like, I literally see a number.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree, man. It's going to be, yeah. I think we're in this, like, really pivotal time where we have to make a decision between, I think, obviously, employee morale and output of quality. And then what do you sacrifice? I saw that, like, I think the UK, 100 companies in the UK, I think, rolled out a 4-day work week last week. And which is huge. But I saw people making comments like, like the U.S. would never do that. Or, it won't stay around for long, or this and that. And I'm like, you could do that, sure. But it just takes this collective. I think again, like, people are entitled, man. And so you have to prove. I think most of us would argue, like, dude, if you have a vacation week and you're gone the next week, that week leading up to the vacation, how much work do we output?
Bust your ass.
You bust your ass and you murder, because you're going to get screwed on the way back if you don't. And so I think for us, we also have to change our mindset of, yeah, there's a 4-day work week, but are you going to be driven enough to, knock that out? And then also, like, I hate this idea that it's like, oh, America would never. It's like, well, if you value a job that is a 4-day work week, just go find a job that's a 4-day work week, right? Like, you could easily go wait tables, or you could bartend, you could do whatever, and a lot of those places let you make. The schedules are pretty decent, and you don't have to work every day. Like, you can go be a nurse and have 7 days on, 7 days off, like or what, like, there are options out there. Like, it's not my job as a corporation to cater to you.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. And I love the point that you just made there with regards to like, before you go on vacation and the kind of amount of work that you put in. Most people, you will fill your workday. If your workday is 8 hours, you will fill it. Whether it's, maybe you're working 6 hours and then you go to lunch for an hour, and then in the morning you had coffee and you bullshit with your coworkers for an hour, right? You fill those 8 hours. If you had to get your work done in less time, you would.
Absolutely.
If there was less time to do it, you would. And then you could push that envelope. And I love, like, Tim Ferriss, his book, That 4-Hour Work Week, talks about this a lot, where he's like, if you had 4 hours for the entire week to get all your work done, what would you do? Would you really you would probably lock in? Could you get it all done in 4 hours? No, 4 hours is probably a stretch. However, how much efficiency would you find if you only had 4 hours? Would you'd probably turn your fucking email off, right? And go like, I'm only going to respond to email once a week. You know what I mean? Like, you would find efficiencies if you would just go, if you would confine yourself to less time, and you would find out that you can actually get more done in less time.
Absolutely. Dude, it's funny, man. I think it's because of him. I adopted, in reading that book, I adopted the whole, like, I check my emails first thing in the morning when I started work, and then maybe around noon. And then maybe in the end of the day.
Right.
And
that shit helps, bro.
Oh my God, it does. But bro, I've lost track of how many conversations I've had where people go, hey, I sent you that email. And I'm like, and they'll literally hit send and walk over. And you're like, when? Oh, like a few minutes ago. And I'm like, okay. It's like, you haven't responded. I'm like, yeah, I haven't looked at emails yet.
I'm doing shit.
Dude. And I remember telling someone, like, yeah, I'll check emails before I leave. And they were just like flabbergasted by, like, why, and I'm
because
like,
most people let the emails run them, right? Yeah. They run your day, and it is such a distraction, bro.
Absolutely. Every time it pops up, bro, if you took the time to sit there and respond to that, it's such a time waster. Like, I'm like, you never get something done. Like, you can't lock in. So I remember going like, yo, if you need something now, just pick up the phone and call me.
Yeah.
But if not, or if I don't see the exclamation point on the email, like, and even then I might ignore it because I might read quickly and I go like, yeah, that's not.
Yeah, because you're allowing other people to rule your day.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah, no. And dude, I lost track of how many people gave me the crazy look of like, nah, I haven't looked at it. And even when they're like, I said that 30 minutes ago, I haven't looked at my email. And they'll just look at you like, what do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean?
What could you possibly be doing? You're not looking at you. It's like one of those. It's like, bro, I'm doing shit. Like I'm not gonna read that. And I've stuck to it to a degree, maybe not as as
it's
intense.
tough, man.
It's so tough because it's hard not to see the notification pop up unless you put it sort of on do not disturb.
Yeah, you gotta almost just don't open it.
No, yeah. So and then it's hard. Something will catch my eye, and I'll go. Oh, I can quickly answer that or whatever.
Yep. Yeah. I get lost in that shit all the time. Where it's just like, but then you do that enough times, and then it takes you away from what you're doing, and then when to go back to something, it's even that much harder.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh shit, like where was I?
Yeah, and I personally, I have a really tough time focusing, and so when I'm in the zone. If you pull me out of the zone, there's no getting me back.
Okay.
And so these pockets of focus come so like infrequently that when I'm in the zone, I really try to ignore them because I go, if I go read that, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go back and I'm going to go, fuck, where was I? And I had all these ideas and thoughts and I knew how this was going to end. And now I got to go back and it's going to take me 3 hours to do something that I knew I could knock out in 10 minutes. Like just because it's hard for me to sort of lock in.
Yep.
But yeah, it's that whole mentality of like, if you give yourself, like, who was it the quote? Like, if you give yourself 15 minutes to clean your room, it'll take you 15 minutes. But if you give yourself 3 hours, it'll take you 3 hours. So yeah, man,
Yeah, man. How we doing on time?
Hour 5, man.
All right, man. You wanna wrap it up?
Yeah, man. You got anything you want to touch on?
I do, man. I wanted to touch on my guy, Mark Manson. He had something that I wanted to share with you guys. I read it on Instagram.
Right over your head, man.
Yeah, man.
Watching on IG.
The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And then he goes, I think another book is Everything's Fucked. Is the other one, right? Yep, that is the other one.
Dude, my daughter wants to read that. And I think I'm going to let her.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'm going to let her.
It's, you know what, it's when you say it out loud, especially like if the person doesn't know who Mark Manson is or have never read this book or any of his books, it sounds vulgar.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not. Like this guy he's really insightful. And the book reads like you're having a conversation with him.
It does. He's such a good writer.
He's a really good writer.
Such a good writer.
And for those of you if you are fans of like the Will Smith's book, Mark Manson was the one that actually wrote it.
He's it's an easy read. Yeah, and like you said, it's a perspective that's very like dumbed down, I would say, or very conversational. Like
very
you said,
conversational,
it's like you're having a conversation with your buddy. Yeah,
and he makes like almost like complex things seem. He breaks it down to like it's like almost like layman's terms.
Yeah,
where you go like, oh shit, yeah, like that makes sense. Why didn't I think of that?
No, man, I love that book. Yeah, if you haven't read that book, read it. And it's a short read, too. It's great. I think I did the audio version of it, too, and I think I did it in a day or two. Really? Like, it's such a short... And he does the audio book of
that's
which
good.
I love, because you know how it was intended to come off. You understand the tone.
Yep.
And so I love when artists read their own books.
Yep. Yeah. That's awesome. All right, so he put something out on Instagram. I don't know when this was, but it was 5 paradoxes that can change your life. Okay. All right, number 1. The more you try to make people like you, the less they probably will. Paradox number 2. The more you fail, the more likely you are to succeed. And dude, I try to preach that shit to my kids, where it's like, especially with school, because school puts so much emphasis on grades, and it's like, it's really bullshit. School's almost like the opposite of what life is like. You have to work alone, and there's like one solution to a problem. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times, especially I have one of my sons who is very he takes things personal, and I'm always telling him like, man, like failing is not a bad thing, you know, and it's hard, right? Because school teaches you the opposite. All right, paradox number 3. The more something scares you, the more you should consider doing it. Go skydiving, people.
Do it.
Number 4. The more you hate a trait in other people, the more likely you are hiding that same trait in yourself. That one you got to take and think about it.
You do, because I think it leads to a lot of defensiveness and things like that in those scenarios. Yeah.
I don't do that.
But I think it's because you're insecure about that. Yep. Yeah, and I could totally see that.
And last but not least, the more connected we become in the world, the more isolated we seem to feel. And so those of you with the social media monsters can attest to that.
Mm-hmm. That's so true, man. That's so true. I love that guy, man. I love his writing. I love his perspective on stuff. Yeah, man. Like I think he always gives you a lot to sort of think about, and it's so relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of things, like I said, he just a few of those things, I've stressed to my kids, and then other things I just kind of take away and try to like apply them to myself. Like the trait thing.
Yeah.
When I first read that, I was like, I couldn't even think right off the top of my head of traits in other people that I don't like. So you got to almost like think about people that are you just not so fond of. And then you go like, okay, why am I not fond of that person? You know what I mean?
There was a third. What was the third one?
Ooh, let me go back.
Yeah, there was something there that you said.
Oh, the more something scares you, the more you should consider doing it. Is it that one?
That one. No.
The more you hate a trait. No, that's not that one.
What was two?
Let me two. The more you fail, the more likely you are to succeed.
Okay, there's that quote that's like, if I wish I could remember who it was, but it's like, if I took 1,000 attempts to make a light bulb and it didn't work, it's like, I didn't fail. I learned of 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb.
Yep.
It's paraphrasing and it's really fucking off.
And then nobody will ever remember the
1,000 failed attempts.
Right,
or the 999
attempps.
It's so true. It's like you can't have the successes without the failures. And it's funny, man. I and it's so cliche. I try to get like preach out on my kids all the time, where it's just like, I didn't fail. I took the loss on that or whatever. I'm like, yeah, man, it's a lesson. Like you're just not. It's not that way. And I feel like we could all learn a lot about a perspective of like, hey, it wasn't that way, just wasn't the way. But it doesn't mean you failed, or doesn't mean it's just like. You learn a lesson, whether it was about yourself, whether it was about the other person, whether it's about the scenario, or whatever. Either way, there's something to be gained from it. And I think if we, going back to the Izzy thing to take this sort of full circle, it's like he even said like, yo, I learned a lot about myself, about the drive I have, the will, and then what not to do, with certain things. It was like, yo, I had certain opportunities that I wish I would have capitalized on or finished and all that stuff. So like, again, man, I think life is about perspective. And
I think you only truly fail when you quit.
Absolutely. And I think those things sort of determine the impact that you end up leaving, whether to yourself, others, or just in life, man. Is like what was your perspective and how'd you handle those quote unquote failures and all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
And on that, tell them where they can find us.
Listen, man, if you're not following us already, at the Carbon Football Podcast on IG, the Carbon Football Podcast on YouTube, at Carbon FP Pod on Twitter, the Carbon Football Podcast on Facebook, and then everywhere where you stream, man. Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Leave a review on there as well. We're on everything, man. Amazon Music. Tell your smart devices, all of them, man. So we're out there. Give us a listen, man, and shout out to you guys for the support, man. It's been fun.
Absolutely. As always, thank you for the support. And if I did not reach out to you on Thanksgiving, please forgive me. It was a hectic week. It's not because I forgot about you. We'll get up.
We'll shoot for Christmas time, holiday time. We'll do better.
I just call you in between.
No, I loved it when you were doing the whole thing where you were checking in on people weekly. I was loving that, man, because I myself, every time you would say that, it was sort of a reminder, and I was like, even if it was a quick text to somebody, I was doing it.
That's all it takes, man.
Yeah, man.
So, I've been bad at that. So.
Yeah, same, man. So we gotta get back to that.
Get back on it.
Yeah, man.
All right, folks. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.